Aloo Tikki make a lovely little starter. They're great for your vegetarian friends, but also great served with lots of different types of chutney. What I've done is I've pre-boiled some potatoes, and I always do it with the skin on, and the reason I do that is that they don't take up as much liquid, so you don't want them to turn into a mashed potato. You then need to make sure that you just peel off the skin. I have been in cookery sessions where I've pre-boiled the potatoes and people have then got out a peeler to peel the skin off. You don't need to do that. You can just use your fingers. It's quite easy. It doesn't matter if you leave a few little shreds on there. It's all good. Okay. We just need to make up the mixture that's going to flavour those potatoes. What we want to do is grate them into a bowl. So just use a normal grater. Try and go for the big side and just grate them. There we go. So I've grated 4 potatoes, fairly sort of largish potatoes, and that'll make a good 15 or 20 tikki. Into that I'm going to add all of my spices and my flavourings. 2 chilies, because I like a bit of spice. Make sure you chop them nice and finely. You don't want to have great big chunky pieces of chilli in there, so slice through them. It's nice for a little bit of heat, but I like to use fresh chilies for the freshness as well. There we go, just pop that straight in. I'm also going to add a little bit of fresh coriander. Freshness, colour, and that lovely coriander flavour. So just a handful, again, finely chop it. You can use the stems as well, you don't need to throw those away and waste them. Just make sure you chop them up nice and finely. Just pop that in too. Whenever I do a potato dish, I also like to add a little bit of ginger, and I'm going to grate that straight in. So that's probably about a 3 centimetre piece of ginger that I've grated into there. Into that I'm going to sprinkle a teaspoon of garam masala, which is going to give it a lovely warmth. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt. You can put in to your taste really, but I like to put a teaspoon in. I'm also going to add a little bit of red chilli powder, and that's more, well, for a little bit of heat, but also for a bit of colour as well. So just half a teaspoon in there. And then what I'm going to do is just mix that all through. Start with my spoon, but I'll probably get my hands in there because it's just easier. And what I want to do is just squidge it through my fingers, just so that all of the flavours and everything mixes up, but it's all evenly spiced throughout. Just going to have a little taste because it's really important that you get your seasoning right. It might taste slightly over seasoned at this point, but that's because some of these I'm going to put into a batter. I think I might add a little bit more chilli into that. So that's going in, and as before, nice and finely. I don't want great big chunks of it because it can be unpleasant sometimes under your teeth if it's too big. So chop that up. My children love these as well, so if I was making it for them, I would sort of tone down the chilli a little bit, but it depends who your audience is and who you're cooking for. There we go. So that's the inside of my tikka ready. spiced and nice and soft and ready to cook. What I'm going to do is make a batter with them, and I'm going to use chickpea flour to do that batter. So I'm going to use gram flour or chickpea flour. We tend to call this Vissen, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit through a sieve into a dish. Vissen can get quite clumpy, which is why you need to sort of just sieve it through. It just means that when you put your water in, you make your batter, it's not going to be lumpy, it's not going to have dry bits of flour in there. So just pop that in. There we go. So that's looking really nice and fine. Into that, I'm going to flavour it with a little bit of cumin. And I'm going to use whole cumin seeds because this is going to be deep fried. Those cumin seeds will hit the oil and they'll start to become fragrant and release their really earthy flavour, but they'll also have a real nuttiness, which will be lovely in this. So stir that in, and then all you need to do is just put some water in, and just using your fingers, just stir that together. I'm after a fairly thick batter. Good. So that's what you're looking for, almost like that sort of thick, gloopy consistency. I'm just going to pop this over to one side, and then I'm going to start to make up my tikkiya. Before I do that, I'm just going to put my hands just into a little bit of water. And the reason that I'm doing that is that it means that the potato won't stick to your hands, and it's easier to form the little discs that I'm looking to get. So that sort of size, just make sure it's nice and compact. You don't want big cracks in there, but just make those up. Don't be too stingy with them. And then again, if you feel that it's starting to stick to your fingers, all you need to do is just put a little bit of water on them again and just start to make them again. I always like to serve these as well with some lots of different types of chutney, because it's potato, it complements a lot of the different chutneys that you can have. And if you look on my website, there's loads of different types of chutneys. Most of them have got a slight spice to them, so I've got ginger on there, I've got tomato chutney on there. So have a look and check them out, because these are the kinds of dishes that work really well with those chutneys. Whenever you're cooking with hot oil, just make sure you've got a clean area, because you don't want to start any fires or anything like that, and be very, very careful when you're cooking with hot oil. What we're going to do is just test that the oil is hot enough. So I've had this on for about 15 minutes on a very gentle heat, just so that all the oil heats through. And the way I'm going to test it is just dropping just a tiny little bit of the batter into it. And if it comes straight to the surface, which it did, sizzling away, you know that your oil is ready. You don't want the oil too hot, because you want the batter to go crispy and brown and golden, but you also want to heat up the inside as well. So all I'm going to do is dip these into the batter, and very, very gently I'm going to slide them into the oil. Don't just throw them in, because you'll splash all that oil back, and it's very, very dangerous. So just very gently, just place your aloo tikki in to the oil. As you start to get more confident, you can do 2 or 3 at a time, but I would just start off by doing 1 at a time until you're feeling happy that you know what you're doing. So because it's hot, it won't stick to the bottom, but that's what you're looking for, that lovely crisp outside. And just give it a little turn over very gently. But I'm going to leave that to cook for about 2 or 3 minutes until it's lovely and golden. In the meantime, I'm just going to start to get my other aloo tikki ready with the batter. Now you don't want to overcrowd your pan, so don't put too many in. And also just be aware, the more you put in, the cooler your oil will get as well, so you need to maybe turn it up a little bit, but just keep an eye on it. So once they go this beautiful, beautiful golden brown colour, just fish them out and just pop them onto some kitchen roll. You want that lovely crisp crunch to them, but yet they're beautiful and soft but full of flavour inside. And I love to serve these with lots of different types of chutneys, and today, as a special treat to myself, I've made myself some ginger chutney, so I'm going to smear that all over it. That's going to wake you up. It's so lovely. It's got lots of lovely textures to it, which is so important whenever you're cooking anything like this. So if this is your kind of dish, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, check out all the different chutneys that are on there, because this is something that you have to make.